Hello, and welcome to Faith and Federalism, where I take issues governmentally and analyze them theologically. If you are not new to the podcast, you know that I never begin my podcast in that way, but my producer, who's my best friend, said that I needed to start out my podcast with an opener and end with a closer. So we're going to try that today and every podcast for the rest of the time. So today we have some interesting things to go over. Of course, I wanted to talk about the debate that happened on Tuesday night, and I wanted to also talk about Kamala Harris getting caught copying and pasting her policies and using the metadata from Joe Biden's website and putting it on her website. The Wisconsin loophole that has to do with voters, and apparently in Ohio, the Haitians are eating pets. So let's just get started with the debate. I think that Trump did well, but I think that he let Kamala get under his skin a lot. He spent a lot of time correcting her and not a lot of time answering the questions, and he was on the defense, but he really needed to be on the offense. But he let her get on the offense, and he was always trying to catch up, I feel like, but I still think he did well. I think he did better in the second half of the debate than the first half of the debate because I feel like he calmed down and he kind of knew how to get under her skin from that point on. He spent a lot of time talking about illegal immigration when they were asking him other questions about the economy and abortion. So those were kind of missed points in the beginning. He was always talking about how that the Biden administration let in illegal immigrants, and that wasn't answering the questions of what he plans to do for the economy and what his plans are for abortion. But like I said, he did better in the second half, and he asked the question of why Kamala hadn't done the things in the past 3 years that she's planning to do now. And I liked his closing statement a lot, so I'm glad that he got the last closing statement as well. A lot of people were saying that it seemed to be more of a debate with the moderators rather than just against Kamala and himself. It was Kamala and the moderators. And I tend to agree with that because they fact check Trump way more and they let Kamala talk for longer periods of time. They never fact checked Kamala, but they fact checked Trump about 8 times throughout the night. She still says that her values haven't changed, but she's flip-flopped on several topics, such as fracking, gun confiscation, reparations, building the border wall, and Medicare for all. If you know, she said in 2020 that she definitely would ban fracking. And she has also mentioned about the border wall. She was not for the border wall and she was for the border security bill, but now she wants a strong border wall. And on top of that, many lies were told by Kamala Harris, which were not fact checked. So the first major one was Project 2025. I mentioned this a few episodes ago, but Trump has said that he has nothing to do with Project 2025 and he distances himself from it. There are some similarities with it, but it's completely different from the 20-step plan that Trump has to restore America. Project 2025 was organized by the Heritage Foundation and 100 respected organizations, and it could be for any president elected in 2025. On the Republican side, it wasn't just made for Trump. This was made way before Trump was even in the race, so it honestly does have nothing to do with Trump. So I don't know why she keeps mentioning it, because even if Trump were to get elected, that's not something that the American people have to worry about, even if you're a Republican, it's not something that you have to worry about if he were to be elected. But these are the policies. I've never read the full policies, so I'm going to read the full policies now. There's about 7 or 8 of them. They are similar to Trump's 20-step plan, but like I said, this has nothing to do with Trump. So the plans are to build the wall and deport illegals, de-weaponize the federal government, reduce energy prices, cut the growth of government spending to reduce inflation, make federal bureaucrats more accountable to democratically elected Congress and the president, improve education by defunding the Department of Education, and banning biological males from competing in women's sports. So the ones that are similar are building the wall and deporting illegal immigrants. Of course, Trump has this master plan to do the biggest deportation of illegal immigrants ever done before. And of course, he wants his wall finished. He does want to reduce energy prices by giving people the option to buy electric cars or regular cars. He does want to ban biological males from competing in women's sports, but he does not have plans to defund the Department of Education. What he wants to do is limit funding to schools that push radical ideology on students. So it has nothing to do with the Department of Education, but individual schools. She also lied about the pro-life laws that criminalize miscarriages. Kamala said that there's states that have Trump abortion bans that make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care, and it threatens women with prison time with no exception for rape or incest. This is completely false. First of all, there are no states that have Trump abortion bans because Trump doesn't even have an abortion ban. He leaves it up to the states. So I guess what she means is like, since Roe v. Wade was abolished, it's left up to the states, but that has nothing to do with the Trump abortion ban. But these laws don't criminalize treatments for spontaneous loss or complications. Every pro-life policy includes exceptions for the life of the mother, so there's also no threatening of women for prison time for miscarrying their baby. So I don't necessarily know where she got that from. She also lied about Trump's abortion stance, saying that Trump will sign a national abortion ban and that there will be an abortion monitor to monitor pregnancies and miscarriages. I'm not sure where she got that second part from, because that's not part of his plan at all. But Trump has always said that he is not planning to sign an abortion ban. Maybe JD Vance would welcome an abortion ban, but JD Vance will not be the president. Trump will be the president. So if it's his way that goes, then he has no plans to sign an abortion ban. He picked the 3 Supreme Court justices to eliminate Roe v. Wade and abolish Roe v. Wade and send it back to the states, and that's where he thinks it belongs. She also said that 9th-month abortions do not exist. Kamala said nobody is carrying to term and aborting their baby. Well, that's false because there's a lot of babies that are aborted past 21 weeks gestation. And also, she voted against the Born Alive Act, which would save babies from botched abortions. So say that you carried a baby to term or you carried a baby to 6 months and you wanted to abort them, or you don't want them and they're born. They get set aside and then you get to decide what to do with it. And if you don't want it, then they kill it and throw it in a trash can. She voted against saving babies that were born through a botched abortion, which is just inhumane anyway. She also lied about the fracking ban. We all know that in 2020, she said she was definitely in favor of banning fracking, but now she's changed her position and said that she has no plan on banning fracking. And lastly, she lied about gun confiscation, stating that both her and Walz are gun owners and that she doesn't support this. But she has openly expressed support for confiscating guns, saying that she supports buybacks and says that the buybacks would be mandatory because we have about 15 million assault weapons, which I don't know what an assault weapon is, on the streets, and that we need to take those guns off of the streets. So next, I want to talk about the fact that Kamala was caught copying and pasting policies on her website. So finally, the website lists issues after 50 days. We finally have an issues list on her page, but instead of just coming up with her own issues, because she can't do that because she's running off the back of Biden, a Twitter user noticed that the page used metadata encouraging Americans to vote for Biden. But once they pointed that out, they fixed the issue. But she always talks about a new way forward, but used this metadata from Biden's website and from her previous administration. And her advisors always say that she's trying to separate herself from Biden's economic policy, but the website makes several mentions to Biden and the administration. So it just seems like she doesn't have a plan. Like Trump said last night in the debate, today is Wednesday, so I know this podcast usually comes out on Thursday, but I'm recording on Wednesday. So Trump said last night in the debate that she has no plan. Her plan is like run, spot, run, pretty much, because now it really shows, because she just copied and pasted these policies onto her website and didn't even think to clean it up. It's like she's plagiarizing basically, because she has no plan, because the plan that she knows is the plan that she's in right now. So everything she's doing right now is what she plans on doing in the future, unless she like busts her head open and becomes a Republican. There's no way that she's going to implement these policies that she says she has, because she doesn't have any. So now I wanted to talk about the Wisconsin loophole, which I thought was very interesting. I think I'm not sure how many people will actually use this, but I mean, it's an easy way to get a ballot, an absentee ballot. So a lot of people may use this, but up to 140,000 Wisconsinites can vote in the election without having to prove their identity by, providing an ID, because they can self-identify as indefinitely confirmed. A lot of people use this during COVID, of course, because they didn't want to get sick, I guess. But this was designed for the elderly, the sick, and those who couldn't get to the polls, but it's obviously being misused. So they can receive an absentee ballot without having to provide an ID. I think this should just be abolished anyway. There's no reason why you can't provide an ID. Even if you're sick and shut in, there's no reason why you can't provide an ID. You still have an ID even though you're sick and shut in. You have some sort of way to identify yourself, whether it be a social security card or a driver's license or anything with your name and address on it or anything like that. There's got to be a way to identify yourself, and you can't just say, because then all of Wisconsin can just say that they're indefinitely confirmed or confined, and then what? The whole state of Wisconsin is going to vote absentee and there's no way to check. So that's why I'm glad that the SAVE Act is coming out, because, or hopefully it will be passed in the spending bill before the government shut down on October 1st, because this will make people provide an ID to register to vote, and it'll make people provide an ID to register to vote. So if people in Wisconsin are not already registered to vote, then they'll have to provide an ID. But I just don't understand. Like, Wisconsin obviously needs stricter voter laws if all you have to do is say that you're indefinitely confined and you can get an absentee ballot. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense to me. And then lastly, this is weird. It's weird and funny at the same time, I think, because it's not funny, but it's funny because people are saying that this is absolutely ridiculous and it's not true, but there are people walking around doing this. Apparently, Haitians in Ohio are eating people's pets. So in Springfield, Ohio, a resident was saying that Haitian migrants have been decapitating ducks and eating them. It's been unconfirmed in the city manager, because last night in the debate, David Muir said that the city manager said that this is not going on. So technically it's been unconfirmed, but I have seen on Twitter X, that there are pictures of people and videos of people that are circulating that have been arrested for eating people's cats, and they were walking around with dead geese and eating them. I mean, I have seen this on Twitter and X, and they are Haitian people. So the residents have said that they feel unsafe that they're eating cats and dogs and other pets. It's being flagged as false information, but people have gone to the town council and said that this is going on. So really what this is a case of illegal migration from the Haitians, and they're basically coming into Ohio and they're flooding everything and they're taking over the housing, and there's people who said that their pets have gone missing, and then it turns out that their neighbor is eating it. So it's not funny, but it's funny because it's ridiculous. I mean, I've never heard of this before. I don't know if it's true or not, but I did see those videos that were circulating, and pictures that were circulating where people were eating cats, and this guy had a goose in his hand and it was dead and he was going to eat it. So I don't know. Since I saw the picture and video of it, I just have to believe that it's true. If I didn't see a picture and video, I don't know what I would say. But why would somebody lie about that also? But it just goes to show, like, if you import third world people, you get third world problems. So if we don't want America to turn into a third world country, then we obviously need to do a better job of vetting who comes into this country. So how do we tie this all back to the gospel? Well, a lie is a lie is a lie. So last night, Kamala spewed a lot of lies, and the Bible says that the truth will set you free. So if she knows she knows that Project 2025 has nothing to do with Trump. I don't know how many times he has to say that it has nothing to do with him, but she knows the truth, and she continues to spout lies because she knows that her people won't listen to Trump. Number one. Number two, don't care. And number three, that they don't want to do their own research. They just want to be fed. And so they'll listen to her and they won't go and do their own research. They won't go out and see that Project 2025 has nothing to do with Trump. Not coming from his mouth, coming from the mouths of people who are part of Project 2025. They are saying that this has nothing to do with him and that it was created long before he even entered the race. But like I said, her people just want to be fed lies and they don't care. And also the lies that she said about abortion are detrimental because there are women who are going to believe that they're going to be charged and thrown into prison for having a miscarriage. I mean, if I didn't know any better and I was listening to her only, or I was listening to the media, then I would be scared as a woman, but I know better. First of all, being pro-life, I know better. And second of all, I know better because I go out and I do my own research and I know that that's not true. And I know that there are abortions up to 9 months because she voted on it, and her VP pick wants abortions up to 9 months. So it's best to just, and since the Democrats are so pro abortion and pro death anyway, wouldn't it just make sense to go out and go on and say that you're pro abortion up to 9 months because that's what they want anyway? That's what her voters want. So why don't you just go ahead and say that that's what you want? Because she wants to try to appear moderate to people to try to get the moderate Republican votes and the never Trump votes and things like that. That's what she's trying to do. And with the gun confiscation, Democrats don't like guns anyway. They want guns to be banned. That's what I'm saying. Like, all of the things that she's saying that are lies are things that her people want. So why doesn't she just go ahead and say what she's really about? But like I said, she wants those middle of the road voters. And so she doesn't want to appear too extreme until she's actually in the White House, God forbid, but until she's actually in the White House. So like I said, the truth will set you free. I mean, if she really wants to win this election, she needs to be as radical as she is, and Trump needs to be as quote unquote radical as he is. He needs to be 100% pro-life. He needs to be like he is about the American people, America first, all of that. He needs to be as strong as he can for the Republican ticket, and she needs to be as strong as she can for the Democratic ticket. I mean, I don't like a moderate person. I am very conservative. I'm as conservative as they come. So if I see that you're a moderate, like even on a dating app, swipe left, like, no, I don't want a moderate. I want someone who's going to be strong, who's going to stand for what they believe in, who will not back down. And I respect to Kamala if that's what she would actually do. I respect that. Don't lie and say that you're going to do one thing when you get into office and you're going to do another. Don't lie about it. Be about it. Be for real. Isn't that the phrase that they say? So I just don't understand why she continues to lie about all these things. I think she thinks she's going to get more voters from the right that are middle of the road, right, middle right, than she actually will, but she won't. So like I said, the truth will set you free. That's the truth of the gospel. It'll set you free. She needs to meet Jesus like real bad, because her stance on abortion, even though she lies about it, her stance on abortion up to 9 months and her voting against the Born Alive Act is inhumane. So that's all that I have to say for this podcast. I would love it if you guys would give me a rating, if you would subscribe, if you would share it with your friends, if you would follow me on Instagram at Faith and Federalism. And I now have an X/Twitter account at Faith and Fed. And remember, when discussing politics, faith comes first. I'll see you in the next episode.